So also, if you have any questions, dare I ask? I don't know if I'm going to be able to help with the questions, but I'll at least be able to write them down and then follow them up for you. So please, if you have any questions, then put them into the chat at any time, and I'll try and keep an eye on what they are. And let's see, to actually get started for this morning, before we have our discussion, we'll set our motivation. So if you have the gold prayer book with you, there is the prayer to generate bodhicitta, and that's on page 229. If you don't have the gold prayer book, you may know this prayer off by heart. It's the prayer that His Holiness the Dalai Lama has many times recommend that that we say every day. And on the Saturday, it's the one that he gave that very short half an hour kind of transmission of. And the third verse of the 3 verses is the one that he requested that we have the courage to say daily, the bodhicitta verse. And so we'll set our motivation to start, and then if you have any questions, we can, I'll try and deal with those, or at least record them. And then I've just got a few notes that I took, and some little chain of thoughts to share with you before we do the meditation practice of Singhanada today. What I'm expecting is that today we'll do Singhanada practice, and possibly next week as well. But then the final one, we should do a short Chenrezig, 1000-arm Chenrezig practice together as well. So let's read the prayer to generate bodhicitta on page 229 from His Holiness the Dalai Lama. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. So His Holiness put that really nicely on that day when he said, we all suffer together so we can all become enlightened together. We can all help each other and then become enlightened together. Right, so we can start with the really amazing good news, which is that Geshe Zopa is going to give a one-night live commentary on YouTube on how to do this Singhanada practice. So that is going to be Saturday, the 13th of June. I'll just check that date. Yes, it is. It's Saturday, the 13th of June, and I've just put it up onto our calendar and onto the live stream page. It's the same as Geshe-la's Sunday night teachings, that you can just go directly to YouTube. It's freely offered. You'll be able to find it. You don't need any link. You just go to YouTube. But the benefit of if you register with Langri Tangpa Center, then you're in the email loop. So you get reminders, and if there's any text to send out, or if there's any additional explanations or anything like that, you're in the loop. So everybody who's previously registered, like for these practice sessions as well, I'll email out to you. And the other wonderful thing is that Langri Tangpa Center has sponsored this event of the commentary from Geshe Zopa on Singhanada practice. It's at the same time at 5. Yeah. So that's a one-off event on the Saturday, the 13th of June. And So yeah, we're super fortunate about that. And I'm really happy that Library Tama Centre could sponsor the event, because it's from so many donations from last week and this week of this practice session on Singhanada. So we've been able to offer all of that to Geshe Zopa. So it's from all of you, which is really fantastic. So has anyone got any questions that you wanted to put into the chat? It's all totally clear? Everything's clear? So while you're busy lightning fast typing, then there were a few things that occurred to me. So one of them with the you know, this practice given as a subsequent permission after the Great Chenrezig initiation. So given by His Holiness, clearly very timely for the situation that the world is in at the moment of the very fast spreading coronavirus and this kind of almost universal lockdown that we're all experiencing. And even though we are relatively safe in Australia and our infection rates are going down, there are places in the world where they're rapidly escalating with no hope of educating the public or having a choice whether to stay home or not. So for that, to be able to help and protect oneself and others for that. One of the things that I found that has happened for us here in Australia, though, that's probably been the biggest challenge is the actual lockdown and being confined to quarters, shelter in place, that often we feel just habitually that if we can't express our love to others physically, then we can't actually express our love to others. And if we can't physically care for them, then we can't care for them. And it's a natural enough feeling to have, but it's similar to what we get slightly mixed up, say, for instance, with practicing generosity, which is probably the example that everybody remembers. So many times our teachers, our lamas have said to us, there's the substance of generosity, and then there's generosity, the practice of generosity. And so the substance of generosity can be things, the stuff of generosity, or time, or whatever it is that we're giving. But that's not generosity. Generosity is having this attitude in our heart, the wish to give, the intention to give. And then we have the substance, whatever that is, according to our means and ability and what's appropriate. And so with generosity, you can have nothing. You can have no physical things, no money, and still practice generosity. You can be a hermit and see nobody and still practice generosity. And so we can be in lockdown, sheltering in place, and still practice loving kindness and compassion, because it isn't dependent on going out there and actually seeing human beings. It happens in our heart. We have all the human beings in our heart. So it's kind of worth remembering that, so that we don't feel helpless and hampered, because really the biggest work happens in our heart while we are at home, almost in the privacy of our own mind. So the fact that we can't go out and we have social distancing doesn't mean that we can't show care and compassion. And one of the ways that we can really show care and compassion is by doing this practice for ourselves and for others. That's a way of practicing generosity and loving kindness and showing our love and our care. And in a way, it might be even more focused and direct, because we're actually not distracted by having to travel anywhere and find parking, and if we've got language differences or all of that, it's just direct. So it's not physically direct, but actually the practice is more direct. Okay, so Deb, I've been doing the practice every day. Fantastic, good on you. My question relates to the mantra, at the minimum 600 recitations. Do they have to be done all at once, or can I spread them out over the day? I'm so glad you're literal. That is just excellent. So those minimum 600 was in the Sadhana prepared by FDMT and Lama Zopa Rinpoche, however many years ago that was, probably to do with a particular, possibly 2007. This was prepared. It might have been to do with a particular event. So His Holiness didn't give any minimum. What we can glean from that is that it's worth doing a lot, and possibly to do the mantras in the practice, and then if they're going around in your mind, to keep doing them like your backing track. Oh, right. Me too. Bron says, oh, I've only managed to do 200. Oh my gosh, that's 200 whole than I have. Saying it in the car, that's right. Over the 4 wheels, the 4 Mahayana wheels. Yes, so that is fine, and that is fantastic that you're doing that. And again, a number, it's not an inherent thing. And the Lamas always say, don't get stuck on what the number is, because if you just go for trying to get the number and then you forget about the quality, that's no good either. So it's just it just gives you a bit of an idea. Maria, 7 with heart, no less. Yeah, and done. So it's interesting how they stay in the mind during the day. That's right. That's what you really want to do, that they then come automatically, because otherwise what's happening automatically is all of our garbage thoughts, as Lama Yeshe called them, all of our mantras of anxiety and worry, all going along unconsciously. So it is fantastic to replace that background with these holy syllables. Great. So keep it up. And I mean, it is very pertinent at the moment. I mean, times it is emergency times, so it is worth really blitzing it as a practice. Okay, Delma, in the Sadhana under special generative bodhicitta, that's Singhanada. Yes, okay. So what is the word? And here is yet another little microcosm teaching of non-inherence. There is no inherent word, and there's probably no inherent meaning either. So Singhanada and Symhanada, they're the same. I think the Tibetans say hum, and the Sanskrit says hung. So sim or sing, it might be the other way around. One's Sanskrit and one's Tibetan. And if you really want to delve into it, one is a Tibetan transliteration of Sanskrit, not even the Sanskrit. Nevertheless, when you're singing, it's easier to say sing than sim because more sound comes out. So it's whatever you're comfortable with. But there's also then Sangye Dra looks like instead of the Tibetan transliteration of Sanskrit, that is the actual Tibetan name in Tibetan. And then there's also Sangita is another name. So they're all, just think of them as synonyms. How does Rinpoche pronounce it? No idea. But yeah, how does His Holiness pronounce it? That's right. So because we got it from His Holiness, and we didn't hear because we just heard what the translator said, which was Symhanada. Deborah Bovey had smoke coming off her mala beads after 600 repetitions. I don't doubt it. Anyway, we'll see how Geshe Zopa pronounces it, but also it's to do with accent. So Lama Zopa Rinpoche has a Lhasa accent, which is like the Queen's English. It's very proper. Whereas if you've taken teachings from Geshe Tashi Sering, he has a thick Tibetan brogue, like a thick Scottish brogue, that other Tibetans can't even understand. So it depends how our teacher pronounces it. Not to worry. What else? I think the thing that comes across is that the practice is called Singhanada Chenrezig, or Avalokiteshvara Singhanada. So it's got the two words, the Singhanada and the Chenrezig part, they go together. And in the little that I've read about it, that this practice heals from naga harm, and naga harm comes from disturbing the elements or disturbing the natural environment, or from insulting or disregarding the local deities, the local landlords, the natural owners of the land, or the really powerful spirits that live on the land, or that protect places where there are precious stones or minerals or springs and creeks. So I found it quite interesting because here we live in a world with a lot of harm to the four elements, climate change, the climate disasters, and so that would be an incredible affront to the Nagas, as well as disturbing the natural environment, disturbing the harmony of the elements. And so then we get that natural external cause and effect as well, the effect of a harmed an environment out of balance. There's multiple layers of meaning and nuance that we can gain from this as well, because when His Holiness was giving the Great Chenrezig initiation, he also mentioned that you know, the Gektor that's given at the beginning to dispel the interfering spirits. So that's kind of how it's written, but we can also at the beginning always think of it as a way of dispelling our doubts and neuroses. That too is a synonym, right? They're both the same. They're just described from a different worldview. But His Holiness mentioned how you don't kind of banish the spirits and everyone to the other side of the land, because what kind of compassionate person are you if you do that? So there's a bit of a double standard there. But what he did do, he said, was the offering to the local landlords, it's called. So it's the owners or the caretakers, the spirits of the land. And this really accords very well with Australian, the first Australians, Indigenous Australians, of really paying respect to the owners of the land and how they're just custodians of the land, but the actual, you know, the great elemental forces are the actual owners of the land, and then the lesser spirits and totems. And it is important to show respect to them, because that's part of holding the environment together harmoniously. And so doing this practice can help to heal that as well. And here we are, Australians on forcefully borrowed land. You know, unless we have individually got permission to be here, we don't have permission to be here. So there is something quite dodgy about us even being here. And so doing this practice, I think, can help towards healing that too. And the other thing too, like in the trident has the snake coiled around it. So that's like a symbol, one of the levels of the Nagas, the great serpent elemental beings. Another way that I thought that there is a connection there is that with this virus, how they say that it probably arose from the wet markets in China, and one of the main things that they sell in the wet markets is all the snakes, and they just chop them up alive. So that is like doing that whole family harm as well, and causing great suffering and consternation, not just of the seen snakes, but the snakes are part of the whole Naga family. So it's to do with kind of balancing that out too. That's just my personal thought, kind of riffing on a theme. And also remember, at the end of the initiation, His Holiness said that he gave the initiation, the Great Chenrezig initiation, to everybody on the planet. And then he said not just the humans, but the unseen ones as well. And so it made me think about how, you know, occasionally the lamas will say how there are many devas and other Naga spirits just busting to get into an initiation, really wanting to take teachings. And so then when the lamas teach, then they teach to the unseen beings as well. So all of those ones, and then the beings in the form and formless realms. So we're just this kind of minuscule little audience there. The other thing that struck me too, and it'll be really interesting to see what Geshe Zopa has to share with us, because in one of the pictures of Singhanada, the trident isn't kind of blocky, you know, like 1, 2, 3, but it's more like 3 long, elongated sticks together. And the snake coiled around that, and to me that looked like it could be a metaphor for the 3 internal channels, our 3 main channels in the body. And so when they're out of whack and misbalanced, not harmonious, then that's when we get sick. And so this disease, this practice is particularly to heal disease. So when then the snake, like the life force, the chi, the prana, whatever you want to call it, that moves through those channels to become more harmonious and balanced. Yeah, Maria says, similar to the image of the medical Hippocratic oath, the staff with the 2 snakes and the rod of Asclepius. Yes, that's right. Very, very similar. So there is a real acknowledgement about those internal energies and how they have to be harmonious. And there is also an associated story of how, you know, we are samsaric beings. We're contaminated with the appropriated contaminated aggregates. And we have 3 snakes within us locked in mortal combat. So the snakes are those competing energies that are in a battle to the death of, you know, ignorance and hatred and attachment. And generally, you know, we think everything is okay because all 3 of them are locked in mortal combat and they're of equal strength. But when one of them overpowers the other, that's when we manifest sickness. But the whole time with these contaminated aggregates, we are actually sick with samsara. So the snakes then, you know, instead of being samsaric beings like that, it shows how we can harness those energies to create harmony. Right. Were there any other issues or things that you wanted clarified? It seems like an age since last weekend. Thank goodness I took a whole lot of notes because so much has happened in between then and now. It seems like months ago. Anything else at all? Doesn't seem like there's anything else. Then the last thing that I wanted to mention from my notes was how His Holiness really brought together so comprehensively how we heal with both relative and ultimate bodhicitta. And while you know, when the outer is disturbed, say from naga harm, then the inner becomes disturbed and we get illness. And so then we can equally rely on the outer and the inner. So by propitiating the external nagas to heal that harm of the elements, to show respect to the world and the beings within it, and then within to tame the disturbing emotions. And so the practice of Chenrezig is incredible like that, because you know, Chenrezig is great compassion, but supported by wisdom. So it's this compassionate practice, but it's from within an understanding of emptiness, and that, you know, I always remember then that it was actually Chenrezig that requested the teaching in the Heart Sutra. It was Chenrezig that requested this, you know, started this conversation about, you know, life, the universe, and everything. And I'd never kind of put the two together, that they're inextricably linked. This great compassion within the context of universal reality, understanding ultimate truth. And the way His Holiness then just wove them all together so coherently, just within a few sentences, just incredible. So Bruce, does the subsequent permission constitute a commitment? No, there wasn't any commitment given. So what the subsequent permission means is that we have permission to practice, which means our practice has more power. And also what hopefully we'll be able to clarify with Geshe Zopa is whether we do the practice self-generating as Singhanada or not. And so because I'm unsure about that, then hopefully by next week we'll know. But the permission to practice always comes at the end of a great initiation, a full initiation. Then you get lots and lots, or just one or two, or just one subsequent permissions. And sometimes there is a commitment given and sometimes not, but there wasn't a commitment given for this. That said, I'll just check. Yeah, no numbers or things to do, but just basically, you know, it's emergency times, and this is the emergency practice to do. Did His Holiness give a specific sadhana? No, not for Great Chenrezig practice, and not for the Singhanada practice either. So it's whatever practices that you want to do, but he did say some form of mantra commitment. Well, of course, the vows, and to meditate on conventional and ultimate bodhicitta, and to, yes, recite the 6-syllable mantra to serve as a catalyst to increase your compassion. So there wasn't a specific sadhana given, which means we can use whichever one we like. But with the Great Chenrezig initiation, then definitely, because that's a full initiation, you want to do the sadhana where you dissolve your ordinary sense of self into emptiness and arise as Chenrezig, because you have the permission to do that, so you should be doing it that way. Yeah, so Christina, with the Singhanada practice, because it's a purification practice, I just thought we'd do with the deity out the front. And that's how the practice is written in this sadhana. But when we had the Jenang, actually we arose as Singhanada. And so that's why I wanted to check with Geshe-la if there's different ways to do that or not. And we received all of the qualities of Singhanada. We're completely cleansed and purified, and then received all of the qualities and abilities. But just like with Vajrasattva practice, then for the purposes of purification, you have the deity there in front of you. So I'm not sure. That's what we've got to wait with bated breath to find out. So while we're doing that, I might just write those couple of things down to jolt my memory to ask Geshe-la. And pronunciation. The group brain, that's right. Practicing in a group is so much more powerful, and questioning in a group also is much more clarifying. And for me too, you know, if I didn't have all you guys, I wouldn't be doing any of it. So thank you, you've just saved me. I'm utterly sincere about that. All right, so is there anything else? Any other? Then we can do this short practice of Arya Avalokiteshvara Singhanada, known as the exalted lion's roar Avalokiteshvara, who dispels all disease. So with this image here, you can see the Buddha from the 35 Buddhas with the blue body and the white face, and then with the snakes or the naga halo, is particularly very effective for healing skin diseases. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche has often said, if you have skin diseases, to just make images of this Buddha, or just photocopy them and colour them in with crayon even, and it's fine. It has this incredible healing effect. And then Nagarjuna and Singhanada Avalokiteshvara. So let's start the practice. If you have the sadhana there, and just before taking refuge and generating bodhicitta, then we think it's not just us, but it's all the sentient beings surrounding us, the great multitude of living beings, of which we are the ones that have this incredible opportunity. Even if we don't feel ready, we have the opportunity to help them. So we've got to grasp this opportunity just because we're here and we can. So we take refuge on their behalf. Oi Sangye Chodan Soi Gye Chonam Lan Chan Shu Ba Doi Dai Ni Kyab Sui Chi Dai Gi Jin Soi Gi Pe Soi Nan Gi Troi Lai Pan Che San Ge Troi Pai Shoi Sangye Chedan Sogi Chonamla Chan Choi Padu Dani Kyab Suchi Dai Gi Jin Soi Gi Pe Soi Nam Gi Trola Panje Sangye Dropa Shom. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. So really thinking, as His Holiness said, not just may I become a Buddha, but I will become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. And how? By practicing, in particular, the 6 perfections. And then really focusing our motivation by reciting the 4 immeasurables together. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. And may all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. So thinking of all the sentient beings, how completely changed the world would be if everyone had exactly what they needed. They had all that they needed. They had safety and love and all the resources to be able to blossom as living beings, to bring to fruition all of their natural qualities. And being inspired by thinking about this, then developing a wish, I've got to bring it about. And light coming from Shakyamuni Buddha and the merit field flowing through you and blessing you with inspiration. And then thinking about how all the sentient beings suffer so much. And instead of just being overwhelmed by the spectre of this suffering wherever we look, generating this feeling, I have to be the one to help them, to free them from suffering. So every time that we see suffering, we become galvanized to do something about it. And again, light streams from Shakyamuni Buddha and the merit field, blessing you with all of the strength and inspiration to be able to do so. And then really turning our mind to think, sentient beings, what would best benefit them is authentic happiness, happiness that lasts, that comes from within. And so many times we just wish for ordinary happiness for ourselves or for others. And we forget the only way is to become completely free of the ups and downs of samsara and to attain a liberation or enlightenment, a happiness completely free from suffering. Not just the happiness that His Holiness the Dalai Lama calls the suffering that we run towards, but a real lasting, authentic happiness from within, all the way to complete Buddhahood. And have this determination and inspiration in your heart that you will bring this about. And then turning your mind to thinking of all the sentient beings, may they abide in equanimity. And especially now where there are so many demonstrations against the current inequality of racism, may all sentient beings be free of racism, of the effects of racism, or of being racist. May they be free from attachment and from hatred. May they abide in the peace of equanimity, and may we be the ones to create this kind of harmony and equanimity in the world. And then how are we going to do this? With the special generation of bodhicitta. In particular, in order to benefit all my mother sentient beings quickly and more quickly, I must achieve the precious state of perfect and complete Buddhahood. Therefore, I'm going to undertake the practice of Avalokiteshvara Singhanada. And then all of the stages of the path of how we can bring this about. Reciting the foundation of all good qualities, thinking that we receive all of these realizations in the form of light from Lama Tsongkhapa and his spiritual disciples, and everyone in the lineage all the way to His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. The foundation of all good qualities is the kind and perfect pure Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly day and night takes its essence. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of black and white karma follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful to abandon even the slightest negativities and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Seeking samsaric pleasures is the door to all suffering. They are uncertain and cannot be relied upon. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate the strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Led by this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great caution arise. The root of the teachings is keeping the Pratamoksha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I have fallen into the sea of samsara, so have all mother migratory beings. Please bless me to see this, train in supreme bodhicitta, and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. Even if I develop only bodhicitta, but I don't practice the 3 types of morality, I will not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I've pacified distractions to wrong objects and correctly analysed the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of calm abiding and special insight. Having become a pure vessel by training in the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the fortunate ones, the supreme Vajra vehicle. At that time, the basis of accomplishing the 2 attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I've become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect these vows and pledges like my life. Then, having realized the importance of the 2 stages, the essence of the Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never giving up the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Like that, may the Gurus who show the noble path and the spiritual friends who practice it have long lives. Please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. In all my lives, never separated from perfect Gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the stages and paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. So thinking that all of the realizations, the essence of the path, flows into you in the form of light, like the most perfect prescription, everything that we need to be able to follow, to liberate sentient beings. So now in the spaciousness of your mind, in that blissful mind, in that infinite space of the inner world, there arises in the space in front of you a radiant white syllable, Hri. light rays flowing in all directions, filling all of space. This Hri transforms into Arya Avalokiteshvara Singhanada. He has a white body, one face, two hands, and three peaceful eyes, with the face slightly smiling. His right hand on his knee is in the mudra of granting supreme realizations. And he leans back on his left hand, which rests behind him on a moon disk. His left leg is extended in the posture of royal ease. He's without ornaments, in the aspect of an ascetic, wearing a Brahman cord. His hair is tied up in a top knot, and he wears a lower robe of red silks. The left breast is covered with the skin of a Krishnasara deer, said to be one of the most compassionate of animals. So this deer skin symbolizes the insignia of compassion. On his right side is a green trident with a white snake entwined around it. And sometimes the belly of the white snake has little black dots on it. And on his left side, on a lotus, is a skull cup filled with various sweetly smelling flowers. And on a white lotus, which blooms by his ear, is a blazing sword of wisdom. Singhanada Avalokiteshvara is seated on the moon disk and a red lotus. These are resting on a tiger skin, covering a snow lion with red mane and tail. The head looking forwards and to the right. Avalokiteshvara Singhanada, the brow has a white Om, the throat a red R, and the heart a blue Hum. And beams of light are emitted from these three places. And this light enters your crown, your throat, and your heart chakras. And the powerful, purifying nectar light energy flows through you and purifies you and all others, especially those who have similar problems. Of all the obscurations, inner and outer obscurations, purifies all negative karma, all spirit harms and disease. Om Ahri Singhanada Hum Pem. 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 Om Ahri Singhanada Hom Pe. 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 Om. So as the light and the nectar flows into you, into your three chakras, as the white light flows from Singhanada's crown or brow, from the white Om, cross space, flowing through you from your brow, the chakra there at your brow. Feel in particular as this white light and nectar flows through you that all physical diseases are completely purified and healed. Feel that all the dangers of untimely death are purified and cleansed. Feel every atom of your body becoming radiant with a blissful white light energy. All the negativities and bad karmas associated with physical actions are purified. All the disturbances of the elements within the body are harmonized. And as the red light flows from the R at Singhanada's throat, across space, flowing through your throat, spreading through your whole body, purifying all of the so-called negative black spells, all the grip that propaganda and bigotry has on us, all the grudges and curses and obscurations, all of the negative internal dialogue, all of the negative mantras that we say of stress and worry and resentment. All of our mistaken ways of framing the world, of using our words to limit us instead of liberate our minds, all completely purified, the radiant, blissful red energy like the sun. And then as the blue light flows from Singhanada's heart, across space to your heart, and then flowing through your whole body, blue like unobstructed deep space. Feel that all bad omens and bad dreams are purified and cleansed, dissolved into the emptiness, into spaciousness. All evil beings, inner and outer, are completely purified. All messengers of death, inauspicious signs or circumstances are cleansed. All the outer obstacles and all the inner obstacles that cause them are purified in the blissful radiance of this blue light and nectar that flows throughout your whole body, that fills your whole experience. And then all three lights together, the white light flowing through your brow, the red through your throat, and the blue through your heart, harmonizing your body, speech, and mind in perfect balance, perfectly supporting each other, perfect expression, to be able to perfectly help others. Feel that your mind is blessed. You are freed from all the inner and outer obscurations. Om Ahri Singhanada Hompe, Om Ahri Singhanada Hompe, Om Ahri Singhanada Hompe. So there's a couple of extra dedication verses from Lama Zopa Rinpoche that I'll read out now. As a result of this practice, and especially reciting these mantras, due to the past, present, and future merits collected by us and the merits of the 3 times collected by others, may the most precious, wish-fulfilling thought of enlightenment, bodhicitta, be generated in my mind, in our minds, in the minds of our family members, and in the minds of all sentient beings. And may that which has already been generated increase. And due to all the past, present, and future merits collected by us and others, which do not exist from their own side, may the I, which does not exist from its own side, achieve full enlightenment, which does not exist from its own side, and lead sentient beings, which do not exist from their own side, to that state by ourselves alone, which do not exist from its own side. And may we have the same qualities as Lama Tsongkhapa and benefit sentient beings equaling the limitless sky, just like Lama Tsongkhapa did from this second onwards. So the dedication verses from His Holiness Dalai Lama. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may these never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains and as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Then the long life prayer for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the new version, His Holiness like a light in the world. Ojite kandir pendem alupan kan lejo we sampel yijin kadre some tenzing yat sola soa dev som tujelon rujo. Long life prayer for Kebje Zopa Rinpoche. Oi to soi chan jim chan kyong kyao we ten sin kyong pel we kon zo do po zim cho son po we le mon tu dru pa da so do che gon do sha ten sho. And the long life prayer for all of our holy gurus. Oi jetsun lame kutse rabten shin nam kai trin le cho choi gya pai dang lo son tempe drome sa son gi dro we mo sel ta toi ne gyu chi. So once again, thank you very much everybody for coming and making this afternoon very special, and hope to see you again very soon. So next week, same time, same place, or else tonight for Geshe Zopa's teachings, but also importantly on June the 13th at 5 o'clock, Saturday night, with Geshe Zopa.